So now that the media is looking into the Supreme Court for their obvious and blatant corruption, they are actually finding more obvious and blatant corruption. It's truly astonishing that if you actually look into corrupt organizations, those that think they're above us and treat us like they actually can find evidence. Neil Gorsuch just got on the Supreme Court, was trying to sell a piece of land, but he was trying to overcharge you. No one wanted it. But when he got to the Supreme Court, a law firm bought it. It's not like they do lots of business with the Supreme Court and that would, make Gorsuch favorable to whatever they want to say, now would it? Now, Chief Justice Roberts was asked to come in front of Congress and explain how he was going to provide ethics, rebuild the trust of the Republicans on the Supreme Court. Because it is the Republicans. Because any of those that are rational judges on there, the Republicans would gladly impeach. Because, hey, rational judges that actually care about the United States shouldn't be on the Supreme Court because they won't bend over backwards, ignore laws, ignore traditions, ignore the democracy that they're supposed to protect to help the Republican Nazis win. It's not at all surprising that the 3 Democrats that are still left on the Supreme Court, there's no land sales that they're hiding, no multi-million-dollar trips, vacations paid for around the world. It's truly astonishing that it's the Republicans who swear up and down that they know exactly what the Constitution means, and you shouldn't really question them because they know the truth, the reality, the only way American actually can function. They know, you don't, so shut up, sit down, and leave them alone. But they're, not smart enough to figure out how to fill out forms, how to understand laws written 40 years ago. Truly astonishing, isn't it? So, as the media continues to look into the blatant and total corruption of the Republicans on the Supreme Court, they will find more. Now, for the abortion pill, yes, the Republicans did put a stay in place. But it's not all that great. Alito said that the government didn't remove his fear that they would just ignore the court's order or not enforce what the court says. So the government doesn't deserve an injunction? You know how insane that sounds? Hey, the government has never ignored what the Supreme Court has said, but this is a Democrat, so I don't think they deserve the Supreme Court to do its job. You know how insane that is? This comes from the same person that reached back into European religious history and decided that a religious rule that said if you had an abortion, you must mourn for that child for 5 years. He ignored the reality of what was written and said, hey, you weren't allowed to have an abortion in Europe. completely disregarding all history, reality, and common sense. He's going to complain that how dare a Democrat administration not come to them on bended knees, begging them and telling them that they're going to do whatever they say no matter what, even though this blatantly idiotic ruling that ignores all laws gave standing to people that had no standing whatsoever decades after the decision, which the statute of limitation was already up, that he thinks the federal government shouldn't get standing because A, the federal government hasn't proven that once again they will abide by the Supreme Court rule, and B, that he doesn't understand why they should, give an injunction, because eliminating more abortion access, that can't really be that bad a thing for what, it's just a short little amount of time. So Justice Roberts decides that, Congress can sit and rotate because he doesn't need to come in and explain why the Supreme Court has no ethics anymore.